Hello, everyone. I'm JT Wistersill.
I'm Jack Wistersill.
And I'm Tom Wistersill.
And we're excited to welcome you to another edition of
From the Couch.
It's been a while since we've been on the couch together, but...
Same couch,
of course. Same
always
setup.
the same couch.
Same camera setup, which took us a couple minutes to figure out, as it always does. But we're excited to be back talking about the 2022 NBA playoffs. With the end of the regular season comes a lot of excitement because it feels like for the first time in a long time, guys, so many different teams can win it. Except for one. And that's actually where we're going to start, is with the disappointment that was the Los Angeles Lakers. Everyone on this couch picked them to at least reach the finals, yet they were not able to do so. Let's start with the longest tenured Lakers fan amongst us. Dad, what went wrong with the Lakers?
I've been a Lakers fan since 1980. It's a long time, right?
It is a long time.
A lot of good years as a Laker fan. This was the most disappointing year. I'm going to chalk it up to just drinking the Kool-Aid too much. Bought into the changes they made with their roster. Thought it was all going to mesh. Knew everybody wasn't going to stay healthy, but I didn't think it was going to matter. I didn't expect us to be the number one seed.
No.
I wouldn't have predicted that going in. I just thought we'd be in there in 2, 3, 4, and the playoffs would hit, everything would gel, we'd be off and running. And instead, everything went wrong, except for LeBron, who played an unbelievable season. Other than that, it was a train wreck. And because of it, we need lots of changes. Coach is going to be gone, Vogel. Pelinka is going to be gone, the basketball operations GM guy. Most of the players are going to be gone. It wouldn't surprise me if the only people left on the roster are Anthony Davis and LeBron James next year. That wouldn't surprise me. And so we'll see what happens. Very disappointing, but we should have known better. And so to me, it was just, I was too excited about what could be rather than rationally looking at this roster who lost their best defensive players. And I had no idea they were going to have to rely on LeBron for so much.
Yeah.
No, one of the main things that people say is that getting Anthony Davis was a bad thing for the Lakers. A lot of people say it because he's been hurt so much. But it's wrong because he got them a championship. He got us a championship. But acquiring Russell Westbrook is one of the worst front office moves in NBA history. And I don't know who's to blame more, LeBron, the Lakers front office, or Russell Westbrook. Was the expectation too high for Russell Westbrook that he didn't meet? The front office, we have 3 players over $30 million per year in cap space. Only one other player is above $10 million. Everyone else is around $3 million to $1 million per year. Guess what? If guys getting paid $3 million to $1 million a year means one thing. They're not very good. We have a lot of not very good players on our team that play a lot more than they should. And that's the main problem here. It's awful roster construction. Now, LeBron, we all know, has a big role in the front office. I believe it's him and Pelinka. Like you said, a bad duo, So, I mean, we're going to have a lot of pieces to build up. But it's a lot of trading away young role players. Not stars, role players to surround LeBron and Anthony Davis. But then also comes down to if Anthony Davis can't stay healthy, then the Lakers are going to be right back here next year. Either barely make the playoffs or not making it at all. So there's a lot of problems they'll be figuring out. It'll be a fun offseason to see what the Lakers do.
Yeah, and you mentioned the one other player outside of Davis, Braun, and Westbrook who makes over $10 million is Talen Horton-Tucker. And if we're going to look back at the Lakers' issues, to me, it starts with refusing to trade Talen Horton-Tucker over a year ago for Kyle Lowry, who's still a very good, productive player. Did he miss some time? Yeah, but still did a really good job on that Heat team. So that's number one. The roster's old. They can't shoot. We're the two-way players. There's guys I see that are really good defensively, but then they can't shoot, and that's the same thing. Guys like Wayne Ellington couldn't get on the floor because they could only shoot, and they can't defend. So just really poor roster construction, as you talked about. LeBron, lights out. But also, he's the one I fault at most for this team because it was his decision at the end of the day to get Russell Westbrook. That's what all the report says. Nothing on this team happens without LeBron's consent. And at the end of the day, LeBron wanted Westbrook over guys like DeMar DeRozan, over a Buddy Hield, who this team would be better if they had Buddy Hield, which seems weird to say, but with how stubborn Russell Westbrook's been, it's just the truth. So a huge disappointing season from the Lakers for a bunch of players who wouldn't adapt, wouldn't change. And LeBron, who over the course of his career, as much as I love the guy, has just not been a very good general manager. So be interesting to see how they come back and retool. Now, LeBron's play was phenomenal. Maybe worthy of MVP discussion, but you got to at least get in the playoffs, maybe even the play-in game, maybe get in that. He wasn't able to do that, but this year's MVP race is one of the best we've seen in a long time. So, Jack, let's start with you. Who's your MVP?
You know what? He's starting to become my favorite player in the NBA. And it's not the guy I look like. It happens to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think, is this year's MVP.
Yeah, you don't.
And I know I don't look like Giannis. Not quite. I look a little bit more like Jokic. But Giannis is the MVP because I think he's the most valuable player. And people say Jokic carries this Nuggets team, Joel Embiid carries the Sixers. You know, both those teams are still good. If Giannis isn't on the Bucks, they're not a championship contender. And without him, and with him, I think they're the best team in the NBA. With Joel Embiid and Jokic, neither the 76ers or the Nuggets are championship contenders. I don't think an MVP should be able to win the championship. You're not an MVP if you can't win. Because the goal in basketball is to win. So I think the MVP should win. So that's why I pick Giannis, the MVP.
I like it. Dad, who are you going with?
I really struggle between two players, and Giannis isn't even one of them. I'm between Embiid and Jokic, and I'm going back and forth. And so Jokic did something. I'm reading it right here.
Headband Jokic.
It's that nobody in the NBA's ever done. 2,000 points, 1,000 plus rebounds, and 500 assists in a season. Never been done ever in the history of the NBA. Okay, so it's unbelievable what he did. But I don't want to give him the MVP because I think Joel Embiid's the MVP. He's won more games, and it's about winning. And I think he has to carry the load so much with that team. Simmons, all of that crap that went on. Bottom line, who's been there all season? Who's going to be there in the playoffs? Who could potentially lead them to the finals? To me, Joel Embiid's your MVP.
And I agree for a bunch of the reasons you just highlighted. Jokic is phenomenal. Giannis is incredible. But at the end of the day, I think Embiid is just slightly better than those guys. Led the league in scoring. The first big man to do that since
Shaq.
Exactly. So 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, a block as well. We know he's dominant defensively as well as offensively. A very high player efficiency rating as well. He led him to a 51-31 record on the season. Embiid was dominant. And like you talked about it too, just navigating all the turmoil, the Simmons situation, the unknown, the adjustments with Harden, who started off great in the honeymoon phase and then has kind of stumbled a little bit. But through it all, Embiid has been there with consistent 30 to even a lot of 40-point nights. He's just been dominant inside and outside offensively. And that rim protection, yeah, I totally agree. Joel Embiid has got to be my MVP. But man, what a race it has been this year. And another thing that should be exciting this year is the NBA's play-in tournament with some young, new, exciting teams. The Minnesota Timberwolves finally cracking it, as well as some other more experienced teams that shouldn't be here, the Atlanta Hawks being one of them. So we'll look at those play-in matchups now. And Dad, we're going to start with you. Let's go to Cleveland at the Nets first. How do you see it going out?
Well, it's amazing that we just said Nets play-in game.
Yep.
At the beginning of the season, we'd have laughed at that, right? So Cleveland, young roster, great players. Nets are going to win that.
I don't even need to say anything. The Nets are going to win by maybe 20 points. Kevin Durant is the best player on the floor by too much.
Yeah. No, Nets are going to take it. It's such a phenomenal story for Cleveland. Unfortunately, injuries, the Rubio injury really ravaged them, as well as even guys like Sexton going down. It sucks they're in this play-in position, and they're going to be fighting for their play-in lives in our next game. We all have Nets in that one. So going on to our next one, we're going to shift to the Western Conference, and I'm going to start us off. It's Clippers at Timberwolves. I'm taking my Timberwolves. I think because of right now, Karl-Anthony Towns is the best player in this game because Paul George is coming off the injury. Still think there's uncertainty there. So I love Paul George. I love Karl-Anthony Towns in this one. I think Paul George will play well, but not as good as Cat, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, the Timberwolves bench. Timberwolves get it done and will face the Grizzlies. They will be the 7th seed.
All I need is one word for this game. Experience. The Clippers are going to win by 10 points, I'll say. It's going to be a close one, but the fourth quarter they're pulled away. I don't think the Timberwolves know who's taking the end-of-game shots. Okay. And that's going to be a problem.
Dad, how do you see it going?
T-Wolves win. Move on. Go Wolves.
Go Wolves. And actually, we just have breaking news because I just saw it flash across your iPad right quick. The Lakers did just officially fire Frank Vogel as well. So that didn't take very long as soon as that practice.
Good start.
I think they won the game in overtime tonight and fired him walking off the court probably.
Yeah.
All right.
A disaster for them. But thank you for picking the Wolves. I do appreciate it. Our last one in the East for the first round, Charlotte at the Hawks. Jack, how do you see this one?
I like those boys at Charlotte. But I got to know one more word for you. Experience. Part 2. The Hawks have played a lot of playoff basketball last year. They made it a lot further than most teams expected. They were good. Trae Young is good. They got good pieces around him. The Hornets are so unproven. So that one could get ugly, but I think it'll actually be a close game. But towards the end, Hawks pull away.
Hawks win. Too many good players.
Yeah, no Gordon Hayward in this series. LaMelo's got a little. I believe they actually might have made the play-in last year, but if they did, maybe LaMelo was hurt or whatever it was. Either way, it doesn't matter. Hawks are going to win this one. as well. I see it the same way. Our last of the first round of the playoff series, we have Spurs at Pelicans. Still don't know if Zion's going to play. Don't know if Ingram's going to play. This one's a mess. So
This is a sad playing game. That's just all I have to say.
Yeah.
It's a sad play-on game because I can't name every guy that's going to start. And I'm an avid NBA fan, and I can't name every guy that's going to start on each team. So for the game, of the purpose of a game that I play online called Purtle, it's a good NBA guessing game. I'm going to pick the Spurs for Jakob Purtle. But the real reason I'm picking the Spurs is because Greg Popovich. He's going to out-coach the Pelicans coach from John Blank. They just showed his name. That just shows you again how bad these teams are. Yes.
Both these teams are awful. This is why we shouldn't have the play-in thing. It's stupid. We're talking about teams that are 36 and 46 and 34 and 48. I mean, are you serious? Playoff basketball? So one of these teams is going to win. I'm not even going to pick a winner because I don't care. Because the winner of this game is going to play the loser of the Clippers T-Wolves game, and that team's going to beat the heck out of this team. So I don't think it matters. This is like the losers bracket 7th place game at a 5th grade baseball tournament at 8 a.m. on a cold Sunday morning. Nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants to be here.
So who are you picking to win? You have to pick somebody.
What? The refs are going to call it a good game.
The refs are going to call a good game. That sounds like a Big Sky game we're watching right here, guys.
Go for it.
I'm going to go with the Pelicans because they have the best player on the floor, CJ McCollum. I think he gets it done versus a young, inexperienced Spurs team. One interesting story to monitor, if this will be Greg Popovich's final season with the Spurs, could be his last couple games coming up. So now we got to put a bow on the play-in game. So looking at the East ones, we both have the same thing. We have Cleveland versus the Hawks. Jack, where are you going?
I like experience. But Cleveland is building something special, and they're going to squeak into the playoffs, and they're going to get swept and destroyed by the Heat. But they will slide in there because of the 3 big man duo. It's a nice duo. I mean, 3 big man trio. It's a nice trio, though.
There you go. Hawks, Trae Young, moving on.
Yeah, Trae Young. I think he's going to, even though it's at Cleveland, he's going to thrive in the hostile environment. No Jared Allen makes it tough for me to really side with Cleveland in this one. I think guys like Kevin Love off the bench could make it interesting. He had 32 points tonight, but at the end of the day, I just think Trae Young and this experienced Hawks team will be too much, and they'll squeak in that 8th seed. To the West, you already said it.
I already said it.
I fully agree. It doesn't matter at all.
Clippers,
the 2 teams.
Clippers,
I mean, real quick, the Timberwolves record is a very, very strong record. Mm-hmm. It is not the 34 and 46 record.
Correct.
So that's the biggest difference to me is they won a lot more games than the other teams. So the Timberwolves or the Clippers, whoever's playing there is going to be a lot better than whoever they're playing.
I agree. Well, let's start out with that play-in game, 8th seed. They're going to take on the Phoenix Suns. We'll go with you first. You said it's going to be the Clippers for you. They have any shot? They gave them a game series last year.
So I said, what's going to be the Clippers?
Clippers Suns.
Oh, I said Clippers will be. I see.
Yeah.
Clippers Suns. No. Sweep.
Sweep. Okay.
Suns sweep.
Clippers take 1. Call it game 3. But the Suns team means business. They were disappointed about last year.
Yeah, this Suns team's absolutely locked in. I think Terrence Mann and Paul George have won random game. It's a fun collection of talent the Clippers have, but not enough without Kawhi. I agree. It's going 5. Next up, Jazz versus the Mavs. Mavs the higher seed, so they'll get the extra home game. I think this is going to be a really fun one. Jack, how do you see it playing out?
Shout out to my Utah roots. Jazz in 7 because Doncic cannot carry a team. Period.
Okay. Yeah.
Luka limped off the court tonight.
That's the concern.
So, sprained ankle, calf injury, something like that. Yeah, you know what? I believe the Jazz are going to do it as well here. I think they'll take the Mavs.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on in that Utah locker room right now. We just saw the other day. You were at the game. Donovan Mitchell checked out, smacked the table so hard. Even Rudy Gobert was kind of startled by it. And I think that's what the root of the issues are. Those two kind of pitted against each other right now. It's all bearing on Luka's health, but I think Luka's going to be fine. He'll be able to come in. And because of that, I do think the Mavs win in 6. And one of Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert will not be on this Utah Jazz team a year from now. All right. Moving on from there, we have our 3 versus 4 matchup, which is the Nuggets versus the Warriors. Another intriguing one.
3 versus 6.
3 versus 6, thank you.
Yeah. Golden State, playoff tested, getting healthy, coming around. Warriors, maybe 5.
Oh.
Nuggets in 6. Jokic is that guy. He's him. And he's going to lead them over the Warriors because they don't have anyone to guard him.
So the interesting thing is I haven't heard updates on Steph Curry's health. I mean, this series is a week away from taking place pretty much. I think they'll get going on Saturday or Sunday. But I can't go pick the Warriors right now because I don't know about Curry's health. So because of that, I think it actually is going to end in disappointment. I think Jokic is going to get it done.
Maybe it's random. Curry may not play. You know, it's hard picking the Warriors.
DeMarcus Cousins might step up too. You never know. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
He's not going to step up. What are you talking about? Anyway.
All right. Now we have our 2-7 matchup. So Grizzlies versus, me and Dad have it as the Timberwolves. Jack, you have it as the Clippers in this one. How do you see it going?
I already said the Clippers were playing the Suns, so I'm going to change it to the Timberwolves right now because it makes it easier for show purposes, you know. But Grizzlies in 4 against the Timberwolves.
Oh.
He's going to call that a shocker. This Grizzlies team is really good. People don't realize it, but it's hard to win that amount of games with a young core in the regular season. This Grizzlies team is really good. They play fast. They remind me of an AAU team. They remind me of the AAU team you see on Sunday that you don't want to see. That plays really fast and just wants to win the championship.
Grizzlies will win. I think it'll go longer than people think. I think the T-Wolves have enough talent. Not enough to win the series, though. Grizzlies in 6, I'll say.
That's what I'm going to go with as well. I love the Timberwolves. I think there's 2 games in here where Anthony Edwards is the best player in the series. Cat will have some nice moments, but the depth of Memphis, just too much. I think this Grizzlies team had a taste for the playoffs a year ago, got bounced in 5 games, I believe, versus the Jazz. But this time around, they take care of business against a young and hungry Timberwolves team that is just happy to be in the playoffs for the first time since 2017. All right, shifting over to the East, we have the Heat versus, as me and Dad have it, the Hawks. And Jack, you took the Cavs. So we'll start with you. Do you think the Cavs can make this interesting at all? No.
This is 4-0. Not even close. This Heat team again is mad about the bubble. They still remember that loss to the Bucks. They're looking for a rematch with the Bucks as soon as they can get one in that conference finals.
I got the Hawks winning 1 game against the Heat. That's it.
This is a really interesting series to me. I have the Heat in 7, and I could genuinely see the Hawks pulling off the upset. Wow. They shocked people a year ago. This Heat team has felt weird all year. I'm not ruling out injuries. Guys have been in and out with health. Although I did see Victor Oladipo had a 40-point game today, so getting him back at a good time. It will be an interesting series to me. I just think Trae Young and this Hawks team will come in ready to go.
I've never heard of a 1 seed being shaky.
I just think because of the injuries. I worry about some of the continuity stuff. Lowry in there. Duncan Robinson's been up and down. Tyler Hero, I never know what I'm going to get out of him.
6 man of the year, so you're going to get out of him.
Yeah. Very well true. Could win it. So I just think it'll be an interesting one. All right. Looking at the 2-7 now. That'll be the Bucks versus actually, this is outdated. That'll be the Celtics versus the Nets now. So how do you guys, anyone feeling Boston here? It seems weird to favor the 7, but I know I do.
I think the Celtics are going to win.
You do?
I do. I think they're going to win. I think they finally piece it together this year in the playoffs. And while Brooklyn, we know, I think as we've talked about before, could be some issues at time during games with Kyrie and KD. Who's got the ball? Who's shooting? What's going on? I'm going to pick the Celtics to beat the Nets in this one.
Kevin Durant is the best player on the floor for every single game. But there's something about teams that make the play-in that are the 7 to 10 range that just don't deserve to be there. And the Nets, the way they played this year, don't deserve to win the
Hard
series.
to flip the switch.
So I think the Celtics are going to win. Everyone says, playoffs, people change. But in the end, when all those guys that play a basketball game every night, everyone's going out to win. So how does it change that much in the playoffs? It'll be interesting to see. Celtics will be tough out for sure, but I think they'll win.
Jason Tatum is a phenomenal player, but when both these teams are firing at all cylinder, the 2 best players reside on Brooklyn's roster to me. For that reason, I am going to go with the Nets. I think Kevin Durant and Kyrie both are going to step up and have monster games. While Tatum will play pretty well, I think he's going to be looking around as Brown's going to struggle a little bit and they'll be lacking that second star. But it's going to be a fun first-round series either way. Alrighty, that means we have the 3-6 matchup, which is then the Bucks versus the Bulls. The Bulls had a really strong start to the year and are really limping to the finish. And Jack, you had an interesting
I'm not exactly sure on the stat, but I saw something on Twitter today that showed the Bucks have lost like 1 of their last 15 matchups with the Bulls, and the one they lost, they didn't play a single guy. They didn't play a single guy that will play in the playoff series.
Except for Connaughton.
Oh yeah, Connaughton might have played a little bit.
Only one.
So the Bucks are going to win this series easily. 4-0. This will be the worst series out of every series there. I actually think, because this Bucks team, they got a taste of it last year. Giannis wants another one, and this Bulls team is still trying to gel. They're trying to pick up the pieces. They had everything figured out, and it all fell apart. And they're just trying to figure things out for next year, I think. They're already on that, so.
I think the Bulls will pull out a game, but other than that, this is over.
I agree. Bucks in 4. Bulls, great story, but in the end, Bucks too much to overcome, and Bulls will really miss Lonzo in this series. Another fun one is the 4-5. The 76ers, got their top 2, the best 2 players in the series by far, but man, this Raptors team is deep, they're exciting, and they went on a great run to get out of the play-in game. How do you guys see this one shaping out?
I think it goes 7, but I'm picking Philly.
4-0. Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow.
This is going to be a boring East Side playoffs, except for that Nets Celtics series. I'm calling 3 4-0s. You've heard it here first. The 76ers and Joel Embiid. Simple.
Yeah, he presents a matchup problem for them for sure. And, I'm going to go with 6, though. I really do. I think no Thibault, because he's unvaccinated, cannot play in Toronto. I think that hurts them a little bit. I think the Raptors get 2 games out of this. I do think Philly will definitely win the series, though I would be surprised if it was an upset. But this Toronto team has made things interesting all year, and they'll do so again. So that's our first round. We're going to update our finals predictions and then our finals winner as well. So, Dad, I'll start with you. Who are the 2 teams in the finals and your winner?
2 teams in the finals. I think the Suns are there. I think they might only lose 1 or 2 games in the playoffs until the finals. I think the Suns are that locked in and ready to go. For the Eastern Conference, I think that it's going to be Milwaukee in 7 games over Philly to go to the finals. And so I got Bucks against the Suns for the championship.
And you going Bucks? Or?
I'm going Suns are going to
Suns.
cut the Nets down. Do they do that in the NBA? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
But the Suns will be the NBA champs.
Suns, going to be tough to stop. They're going to beat the Nuggets in like 6 games, I think, in the conference finals. And then they're going to run in to the Bucks. And it's going to be the rematch next year. It's going 7. It's just one of those hard-nosed series. And this is where Giannis cements himself, starting to become that top 10 player of all time. Gets his 2nd ring, scores a lot. I mean, I just saw him hit a step-back 3 to send a game in overtime. This guy's pretty much 6'11", with a 7'5" wingspan. Nobody should be doing that. He's Kevin Durant, not even close to his good scoring, but same size, and 5 times as strong. This is a freak of nature. That's why they call him the Greek Freak. So I think that no one on the Suns can guard him, and they're going to win it all again.
I'm going Suns getting there. And I'm also going to go the Nets going there. And I'm going to take the Nets to win it all.
Wow.
I think it is shocker. I really think KD plays unbelievably. I think Kyrie gets right well. And you know what? I think Ben Simmons is actually going to come. I think Ben Simmons is actually going to come back. Ben Simmons is going to come back and give him a little bit defensively. But even if he doesn't, I think they can still win it without him.
We've changed our name from the Couch to Bold Predictions. That's right. Here we go.
Is Ben Simmons like the MVP of your finals?
Oh,
man?
yeah. Ben Simmons going to hit 5 threes in the championship game.
No, it's the other Curry. It's Seth Curry.
Oh, that's fun.
Kevin Durant plays lights out, and I got the Nets. So it's going to be a fun playoffs either way. As we mentioned, unpredictable, which is what sports are all about and what makes it great. So we appreciate all you guys for joining us on another edition of
From the Couch.
We'll see you next time.